If you've been in the loop with KMS changes and the current job rebalancing, chances are you're here because you heard good things about Demon Avengers recently. I'll be explaining everything there is to know about DAs in this video. But before I start yapping, there are a few yes or no questions you can look at in the description because I didn't want to waste time reading them. Let's get into the thing everyone wants to know. Are Demon Avengers a good choice to hyperburn? And are they expensive to fund? The answer very much relies on where you are currently in the game. Normally, with other classes, you're probably chilling if you want to dump like 1,000 nodes to start killing normal Lotus, but not with DA. It's a very node heavy class, so there's a lot of skills that can increase your damage by a lot, or just straight up keep you alive. Potential wise, this class isn't able to make use of % all stat lines, meaning we don't have any fake 3-line potentials. So that means if you want to fund a DA, you're fine with stopping at 2 lines of max HP percentage. Or you can keep funneling Meso into your DA and go for 3 lines, which people are saying is super free, but it's not even more. To further explain funding, I need to explain a skill we have in our beginner tab. Starforce conversion. What this does is it'll convert the total number of stars on your gear into max HP. You can see that we barely gain HP when we Starforce on the gear's actual stat window, and that's because we gain it somewhere else, on the stars themselves. That's why you'll often find people in KMS rocking Absolab gear instead of arcanes, and I must say the switch from Apso to arcanes isn't really worth it unless you plan on maining the class and taking it much further. I believe the final damage gain is roughly 5%, since the only difference is the amount of attack you gain from the set effects and Starforcing, as well as the extra 1% potential per line from level 200 gear. Before you invest into the class, you should probably know that I play on Reboot, and there are no bonus potentials on this server, meaning you will scale less efficiently than other classes. I don't know the exact number, but the bonus potentials of Demon Avengers tend to have higher numbers compared to any other class. So if you plan on making a DA in Reboot all the way to endgame, expect a roughly 10% final damage gap between yourself and other endgamers. Now, you might be asking, if that's the case, why is DA on top of the charts? To that, I reply with, I have no idea, bro. I think it's an inside job. I don't feel strong at all. Demonic Frenzy is a 5th job skill with a design similar to Buccaneer's Lord of the Deep skill, except it's like 1,000 times better. And I'm not just saying that because I hate Buck. What it does is it heals us for 1% of all skill damage, and it reduces incoming HP % damage by 30%. Not only that, but it gives us final damage in proportion to our missing health. This final damage boost caps at 20%, and it stops scaling past 300k out of 500k, so you always want to be around or under 60% HP. Also, you can't really make use of potions when you're above 30% HP, since Frenzy caps all external healing there. This includes familiars, any sort of potions, any class heals. There are 2 different modes to Frenzy. You know how some 5th job skills get some kind of boost when you level it to the max? What happens to Frenzy is that it changes the healing by skills from 1% at level 29 to 2% at level 30. And this changes everything. It essentially makes you immortal, and you'd have to be very skilled to like die on 30 Frenzy. So granted, you will not be receiving the majority of your FD boost. Let's say you want the FD boost. What do? Simple. You make an under-leveled 5th job slot, and you switch around your Frenzy between that and a maxed out slot, depending on which mode you want to play. In this case, depending on how much you get hit, we say 29 Frenzy is a 15% final damage boost from 30 Frenzy, with the downside that you will probably always be at around 30% health. This brings me to another skill, an equip that further makes the learning curve of this class steeper. The equip in question is a secondary item called Ruin Force Shield. What this does is, it gives us a 10% final damage just from wearing it. Insane, right? Nah. This comes at a cost at receiving 25% more HP % damage. Couple this with 29 Frenzy, and you're not gonna have a good time. Granted, this is probably not for everyone, unless you put the time into learning how to play the class. But for those of you that are interested in this living like Larry mode, I introduce to you Demonic Blast. This skill has a 12-second cooldown, and when you press it and it damages any enemy, you heal for 25% HP, and your character will take another 30% less max HP damage. You can pause to see the combination of damage you can reduce by reading the infographic on the screen. I'll have some pointers on how to survive during bossing. If you'd like to skip to there, click on the timestamp in the description named Survival. Now that we have the essentials of the class out of the way, we move on to some quickfire information. If you find yourself lacking damage while you grind with 30 Frenzy and you want to try 29 Frenzy, make sure you stock up on safety charms because you're going to be dying a lot. I may or may not be speaking from experience. On screen, you'll see the inner abilities we use for bossing and grinding. We get 6% FD overall from attack speed 0 over Korean Maple Story. Cooldown skip first line is probably situational at best, where you're too busy to always use execution and shields get cooldown skipped, so they're always attacking if you're trying to dodge. For mains only, I would have your third preset set to cooldown skip first line if you want to learn bosses and you find yourself spending too much time dodging. Some people like to swap out boss damage for buff duration, but I feel like that's a waste, and you can just do so from Legion. Granted, you're high enough level and progress such that you don't need too much ID from Legion, and being in a guild with max G skills also helps. Buff duration is only good for prolonged AB uptime, it doesn't do much else for us. We have many IAD sources from skills, so you'll want to aim for 91% visual ID for normal Tenebris and below bossing, and 95 to 96 at the max for endgame bossing. I've put up my own hyperstats on the screen, and as you can see we have the option to gain max HP percentage from hypers, so if you're good on levels, max that out, but if you're stopping at 260, get it to level 5 or 6 and follow suit proportionally from what you can see. As always, this is all subjective, so you want to maybe check out Scouter for what's the best upgrade. Your WSC potentials in Rec server don't really matter. You can just use any combination of boss and attack percentage you get, but mainly go for attack if you're a whale, and a couple of boss lines. Your potentials for Reboot, you want 8 attack lines and 1 boss line for solo bossing, and if you have the privilege of seeing a second RFS, maybe recube that for 9 attack lines where you're in a party that has FD stacking, RIP Bishop. We use a 2-second cooldown hat for both bossing and mobbing. We do not need Threads of Fate cape. The hat decreases the cooldown of our FMA in our hyper skills called Thousand Swords, and we use the skill as well as shields to grind to 260. I'll have some maps laid out in the description. You can check them out if they're within your level range. The hat also decreases the cooldown of Demonic Blast, so you get more heals and more damage reduction chances when needed. All in all, if you're interested in the class, make sure you do your normal gaming weeklies for the RFS chance, as some people have gone years without seeing one, so I'd start as soon as possible.
Overload really?
When you attack using execution or any exceed skill, you'll start stacking charges on the skill. Once you reach the max stacks at 20 or 18 if you level up the hyper skill, you'll heal to full HP, granted Frenzy is not active, and you'll gain a big FD boost of 15%. The healing and FD boosts scale to the max stack of charges, by the way, so you only want to press the button when it's at max stacks, because if you press it while the duration is up, you're just going to reset your execution. It goes from blue to purple. You attack much slower when it's blue, so it'll slow down your DPM in the long run, so you don't want to press it too frequently. The only times you do press it is when you're scared of dying from the HP usage of skills, or when you need to heal in heal lock bossing. Another important skill, or skills plural now, to take note of is Forbidden Contract. It stops all HP usage of skills and gives you 10% damage for 30 seconds. With Milestone, this skill will be split into 2, each skill taking one of the effects of Forbidden Contract. So in our hyper skills, we will have 2 skills that give us 10% damage, and one that's going to stop the usage of HP from skills. Now that we have all that out of the way, let's talk 6th job. What should you level first? We have a guide in the DA Discord that I'll put up on screen, and you may have already seen the guide, but I personally don't agree with that route, because the meta for bossing at the moment, with or without FD stacking, is a big boy burst and then run away. Chances are in the mid to late game, whether you're in a C10 trio, Heartsaren party, Kalos, Kaling, or the normal versions, you're gonna fall into the burst meta, and you won't have the opportunity to DPM. So depending on how much time you want to invest into this class, I personally recommend 20s in the Masteries, Max Origin, 20s into the 5th job bursts, 10 frenzy, 0 blast in that priority. Obviously, fill in the gaps depending on your time, whether it's higher or lower, and level up the skills proportionately. Again, this is only my opinion and my own experience from bossing. On screen, I'll show you a list of crit rate sources Demon Avengers can use to reach 100%. Decent combat orders is pretty useful for us. Make sure it's on your auto pet skills. It gives us the following boosts on screen. Pause if you're interested. Another topic is our flaming. I wouldn't say it's easier since we need tier 6 HP and tier 6 attack on a flame to be considered done, unless you'd like to black flame on the end game. It is, however, extremely straightforward. There are no variations in the stats we get. Tier 6 is fixed at 3600 HP for a level 200 equipment. I'll have the relevant flames you can get on screen now, and more in the description for other gear levels. It's generally recommended to go for tier 6 HP and tier 5 attack. You might be wondering something regarding our trinos for mobbing. Why do we have bans on there? 3 reasons. One being, we're hoping it'll get boosted in 6th job. Not that it matters right now. 2 is that in some tryhard maps it can be used for higher rate. 3 is that it might help us AFK for 20 seconds-ish while grinding in place of frenzy, since it's unable to proc soul Janus balls now. I'll also leave a screenshot of the passives that we need to boost in our hyper skills. And no, Ward Evil Harden does not count towards HP percent attacks. It's literally only 10% damage reduction. Over the time I've played Demon Avenger, I've heard many people say that they'd play the class if they didn't have to double tap to jump, and that the glide mechanic is awful, and honestly I can't disagree more. Gliding is such a fun and unique way to move around, and the utility in bossing is absolutely insane. You can move really short but necessary distances and continue attacking afterwards without having to flash jump. I see the bias in the double tap flash jump because most classes have double tap normal jump to flash jump, but double tapping our normal jump is what allows demons to glide, and the less you hold the glide, the more precise you can be while moving, even in the air. This includes activating it and deactivating it continuously, even in the air, to avoid things. Demon Avengers have a lot of skills based on survivability, whether it's Revenant, Contract, Demonic Blast, even Impenetrable Skin. The way we use these skills effectively really determines how well of a player you are. In situations like C10 and below, where everything is straightforward and you're only focusing on the bound boss, you can choose to withhold Revenant until after the bind is over for 15 seconds of damage, or, and this is the more favorable method due to the upcoming Revenant buff and milestone, but also depends on your bossing knowledge. DA's main burst takes a little over 8 seconds. You can pop all of your skills except bind, and then burst right after the boss teleports or does something where they're invincible, meaning these skills will go on cooldown after use. So after they've done that and you've popped your burst and everything, you can bind the boss and finish off the Revenant damage until that's done as well, and then pop Surpass limit when Revenant ends to avoid the damage over time effect. That is a key way to survive when learning a boss, or just when you're not comfortable with the mechanics yet. On the other hand, Grandis and X-Lotus are a different matter. In these boss fights, it's not only the boss that you have to worry about. The maps also try their best to kill you. In this case, it is strongly recommended that you follow the normal burst rotation to make sure you do all the damage you can, but if you're learning, feel free to save Revenant for emergencies and party bossing. We also have Defender of the Demon, Mastema the cat. What Defender of the Demon does is it further reduces the damage you take by 25%, which is one of its uses, and it also has a cooldown. When it's active, you'll see a shield around you that is in the image of Mastema, and the other effect is just a normal attacking skill. A neat little tip for all aspiring Demon Avengers is to go grab the Fortitude potion recipe from Death Teddies. Search up Death Teddy on the map and farm them until you get a recipe for Fortitude potions. Note, you can also get this from Ninja Castle, and it drops the weaker variants as well that cost less materials if you're short on those, or maybe you just don't want to spend these materials on a mule, which is fair. I've seen some people ask whether or not we use 1000 swords in bossing, and to answer this, it's also situational. If you're living on the edge with 29 Frenzy and you find yourself too high HP, 1000 Swords has a 15% HP cost, so it'll chip your HP down if you want more FD. Another use for 1000 Swords is when you're trying to stack Overload Release. It gives us 5 stacks per use. Those are the only cases where you could use this skill in a bossing setting. Other than that, it is a damage loss, so I wouldn't press it whenever. I didn't really want to bring attention to this, but we have a soul in the game from a boss called Ephenia. When you level this to level 2, it gives us 60% HP for 210 seconds. This is the equivalent of 11% attack from a soul. This costs 200 soul power to cast, so you can only use it 5 times, and if used effectively, the duration will last for 17 minutes throughout the boss fight. This does come with risks, however, because if you die, you will not be able to cast the soul. However, if you've mastered the art of staying alive, or you're just on 30 frenzy, then this is way better than any 3% attack soul. Unfortunately, if you're just now getting into Demon Avengers before Milestone, I'm sorry to say you missed out on probably the best feature of Demon Avengers, where, as you see on screen, all I'm doing is standing around and Demonic Frenzy is activating Soul Janus. They will be removing this feature, so you're gonna have to go from AFKing from 1 minute to pressing FMA every 8 seconds. I know, it sounds horrible, I'm sorry, but you guys missed out.
choice I made was wrong, and souls who loved me were left broken. Guess I'll pay for this till the end of days. I won at last and calculated why who I liked I never dated, and broke my head deriving formula. But will I ever love? Feel it inside my heart. All that I do is fake it all again, for it. Reckoning again for it. How do I make this vicious cycle end? Convince myself to like the bits I shared, while crying, going numb and lying bare. I did it all for them and more, without my body getting sore. How could I be so brutal to myself? Will I ever love? Feel inside my heart. All that I do is fake it all again, for it. Reckoning again for it. How do you make this vicious cycle end? Will we have kids and marry home? I'd like to, but you're not the one. I wanna keep you. Your cage and treat me wrong. You are a dream girl. You made up all along. Maybe we meant to end alone. Wanna be alone, running. Wanna be alone with it. How do you make this vicious cycle end?
Talk in my sleep with my nightmares. I wrestle, but nobody hears my prayers. Chemicals keep me on my own. I feel better off alone. Empty my chest for the last time. Obsessed, I feel better off on my own. Am I better off alone? Empty my chest for the last time. Obsessed, I feel better off on my own. Am I better off alone? Eyes tracking, they begin to stare. Nail bites ignite and start to flare. Peel back the skin that I've sewn. Is it better off? Tell me, is it better off? 'Cause then I'm better off alone. Empty my chest for the last time. Obsessed, I feel better off on my own. Am I better off alone? Empty my chest for the last time. Obsessed, I feel better off on my own. Am I better off alone? Thoughts I suppress, they won't let me confess that I'm better off on my own. I am better off alone. Better off on my own. I am better off alone. What you know about that? Can I do the right thing for the wrong reason? Is it bad that I'm making friends with my demons and living by a couple deadly sins just to make sure I finish what you began? And I ain't afraid to lose a life for 10 if it means that I get the win in the end. So I'ma do this on my own. Step into the danger zone, pull the pin and watch it blow. I would rather
finish what you began. And I ain't afraid to lose a life or 10 if it means that I get the win in the end. Woo! So I'ma do this on my own. Step into the danger zone. Pull the pin and watch it blow. I would rather die alone. I would rather die alone. Oh, I would rather die. Oh, I would rather die. Call out and rain down hellfire. Can't hide away. Touch me dead. No one can found I wish you didn't care. I wish you noticed if I wasn't there. What if I did disappear? Would you find me? Would you find me in the dark? In the dark, find me in the dark, in the dark. I'm packing up my mistakes, I send you some. Back and forth, fighting like a pendulum, swinging until my head is numb. I lost faith in all the best of them. So catch me hiding out in a dark place with no direction, a north, east, southwest, up, down, right, left, side, side, front, back, 4D, tesseract, cutscene, that's a wrap, from finish to start, cause all beginnings and endings are never so far apart, inside the dark. In the dark, find me in the dark, in the dark.
It's a place that's not of the physical world. It's where everything else is that I didn't even know existed.
I wish you didn't care. I wish you noticed if I wasn't there. What if I did disappear? Would you find me? Would you find me in the
got 87 seconds till I drown, and the water spills with no one else around. ground. But now I'm found. But now I'm found. Could you get a little closer? I can't reach. But be careful not to trade places with me. A giant king was looking for his crown. But now I'm found. But now I'm found. Trying to find something, is it worth all the cost when you come back and ain't nothing? And whether it's better money or someone's fake loving, it gets better than ever the world, but you end up in. We could be real, or we could be a simulation inside of a dream of alien civilizations. Whenever you scream, you're reminding them to be patient, and you might just find it now. I'm proud that you kept waiting, and now that you finally made it, keep going, the time is wasting. I'm buried up to my chest, and I can't even feel my waist. Get me out of here, I need saving. I'm so close to dunking my head underneath the water. I thought I was, but I wasn't. So wait, I got 87 seconds till I drown. And the water's froze with no one else around. I got lost again and fell right through the ground. But now I'm found. You can get killed when you're just trying to keep living, and the hole that you feel's done filling. Find where the lid is. You're desperate to find where you went wrong, you did it, cause it led you to me just a minute before I did it. So take me to church if you want me to stop believing, but I'll never be anything until I visibly see it. Cause fate is just a myth, cause someone is gonna cause it, and it's gone before you know it. So find a way you can pause it and wait. I got 87 seconds till I drown. The water's froze with no one else around. I got lost again and fell right through the ground. But now I'm found. But now I'm found. Could you get a little closer? I can't reach. But be careful not to trade places with me. A tired king was looking for his crown. But now I'm found. But now I'm found. Now I'm found. Now I'm found. saying you won't take me. Could I escape in time if I realized, but I gamble it all on numbing fees. They said to have a little fun, but now the damage done is creeping into every day. Should've slowed the dose, too late now. I'm living in a ghost town. Fate arrive, take what's mine. I know I walked in sin, addiction governing place and time, not in mine. I feel them breaking in, temptation always wins. I hear you calling out my name. Don't worry, I've always been
was out, but here you are now. Think you were here all along, cause that tape's been a chase, even when nothing is wrong. Can't tell what logic is gone, so I fall on your face, following your pace. The voices hit the light. I see her at the door, offerings I might like. Fate, arrive, take what's mine. I know I walked in sin, addiction governing place and time, not in mine. I feel them breaking in, temptation always wins. I hear you calling out my name. Don't worry, I've always been this way. I thought I'd take back everything. Say I was out, but here you are now.